Every day he looks after his brother and chases a bus. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, and learns new things. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, and gets back home. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, gets back home, and helps his mom. Phew. That's why every day he needs his cup of Milo filled with the nutritious goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa. Milo, the energy to go further.
From Nestle.
This advert is FDA approved. Every day he looks after his brother and chases a bus. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, and learns new things. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, and gets back home. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, gets back home, and helps his mom. Phew. That's why every day he needs his cup of Milo filled with the nutritious goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa. Milo, the energy to go further.
From Nestle.
This used to happen to me some time past. Every roofing I made couldn't last for long and were very bad until I was introduced to Bendlar Roofing and Construction, which made me one of the best constructions in the country. Fellow contractors and homeowners, thinking of your next project? Think Bendlar Roofing. Bendlar Roofing deals in high quality materials and are very conducive to the African market. Locate Bendlar Roofing and Construction in Nkrumah and in Nkrumah. Call the following numbers on your screen. Bendlar Roofing and Construction, always on top.
Welcome to Rejoin.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Africa. This is the newspaper review segment with me, I'm sitting in my brother Kwame. Early morning news. Also to Ivan, Makiza, and Bless for news segment. You can join in the conversation by sending your views, comments, and contributions on our abstract text line. We'll make a time and read all those out for you. You can also share our Facebook Live for other people to also watch today's edition of the program. You can leave your suggestions, questions, and whatnot on our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter at Pan African Television. I also make a time to read all those messages, comments, questions, and suggestions out for you. Before I introduce my guest for this morning's discussion, let me take you through the topics we are going to be discussing. The first is an African story, and it says, African nations declare days of mourning to honor Kenneth Kaunda. Ghanaian Times captured that story. 72-year-old in Ghana's struggle for self-determination. CP in Ghana's struggle for self-determination, CPP sets records straight on Nkrumah's legacies. The Inside newspaper. Oh, sorry. It says 72 years on, Ghana's struggle for self-determination. CPP newspaper. Ghana is safe. Police suspected criminals. Ghanaian Observer, also captured that story. Utilize opportunities under 1D1F. President Akufo-Addo advises companies. The Informal newspaper. I've been joined in the studio by Mr. Justice Akufo-Addo, who is a member of the CPP. Honorable Cletus Seidu Dapila, and also in the studio is Ishak Audu Ishak. Ishak, is your position the Communications Secretary of your party. He's the communication secretary of the PNC. Is the PNC still alive?
I'm here.
We hardly hear from you of late, so
Yes, once I'm here,
what's happening with the party?
Of course, every party is reorganizing, and we are not left out.
What has happened to your decision to, come together, all the Nkrumah parties, to serve as a third force for this country?
Well, Justice, I don't know how I'll go about it, especially that senior comrade Heneko is here. They have held the fort until we joined later on. But it's a fact that all the time this idea of unity is always on the table. And everyone who professes the Nkrumahism agrees that indeed we need to come together. Because it appears that that rich political tradition is gradually dying off.
Yeah.
Especially because we find ourselves in a very fragmented state as Nkrumahs. So nobody needs to remind us that we must come together. And indeed, if we want to gain any relevance, indeed, if we want to build the kind of Ghana that Nkrumah sought to build and the kind of vision that Nkrumah had for this republic of ours, the only way out is for us to come together and present ourselves as a formidable force to the good people of Ghana. And I can tell you that we'll get some kind of overwhelming support that people may even be surprised about. But as long as we fail to come together, we may strive individually, but we may not be able to strike the kind of gold that we want to strike as political parties.
All right, thank you so much, Ishak, for that one. We are looking forward to having a third force in this country. Honorable, how's the NDC doing? How's the constituency?
Yeah, thank you, Justice. Good morning. Constituency very fine, lovely, except the weekend, as usual, funerals all over the constituency, which is normal now of us. That weekends are usually set aside for us to mourn our beloved ones. And our party is very strong. We coming from Parliament. Good morning to the leadership. Very formidable group. An alternative. We're pushing ourselves to form the next government, Justice. And I think that Ghanaians largely cannot wait for 2024 elections. The happiness in the country is a testimony to the fact that all is not wrong, as in the economy of this country, the hardship generally, in everything, even from insecurity, daily bread issues, fuel prices, all of that. So we are on. The party is solid.
You mean that's the conviction of the NDC?
No, Ghanaians.
Forming, the next government.
Yes, that's the conviction of Ghanaians, not just NDC members. Okay. Yeah, generally Ghanaians believe that we should come and take.
Don't forget that
even the NPP, they believe that the old man is tired.
Don't forget that these same complaints were there during the first term of President Dankwa Akufo-Addo, yet they won the elections.
Yes, they won. It was a disputed elections, you understand?
Yeah.
We believe, we are not convinced that they won. But the Supreme Court ruled, and we have no option than to accept that because we are true Democrats. However, many Ghanaians felt that they needed to do 8 years, just like any other political party, especially the two leading parties in Ghana. So it's one of the things, you will believe it. I used to disregard this issue of let this party also do 8 years until I picked a taxi one time, just last 2 months. Then the taxi driver was telling me that he voted because he wanted them to also do their 8 years. It's not about what they did in their last 4 years. So I said, wow, so people have that mentality. He said, yes, that he has also made up his mind that they can bring gold, but 2024, he's not going to vote for them, and you campaign against them. You understand? So I think that many people, the NPP, they got that sympathy too, because of the fact that they also wanted their 8 years. So the 8 years is over. But to break the 8, no, Ghanaians will not accept.
Let's see how it goes in 2024. Mr. Eneku, the CPP has celebrated its 72nd anniversary. And people are asking the current state of the CPP and if the CPP would ever, you know, come to power, snatch power from these two political parties, the NPP and NDC.
Well, good morning to you, and good morning to my co-panelists, and good morning to the good people of our country. Yes, indeed, on the 12th of June, we celebrated 72 years of the formation of the Convention People's Party by Osajifo and his comrades. Then, the party was formed because the people who Osajifo and his comrades are sought to bring into the organization of the United Gold Coast Convention had a fundamental contradiction with the elite who had formed the United Gold Coast Convention. So the people, and when I say the people, we are talking of the workers then, we're talking of the women, we're talking of the veterans, you know, the ordinary people. They really felt that they had to strike out in a new path in order for them to bring about the independence of our country, which they did and which they were able to bring. As at now, there are struggles and contradictions within the Nkrumah family. But I agree with Ishak that we need to come together, reach out to each other, so that through unity we can get a critical mass. And I must once again express my condolences to Alaji, what's his name? The one who was buried on Friday.
I think Bernard mentioned it on the show.
Yeah, Bernard mentioned it because he was very instrumental in trying to bring us together. You know, he held lots of meetings in his house in Jolu, you know, for us to come together. But unfortunately, we were unable to. But the struggle continues. We'll reach out to each other and will not become a third force. Rather become an alternative to the present moribund system, which is led by the duopoly. You know. Yes.
We are all in Nkrumah. We are only waiting that the party is properly structured, and we all join to help snatch power from these two political parties who are taking us for a ride. I'll start with you, Mr. Eneku, on the African story. African nations declared days of mourning to honor Kenneth Kaunda. Ghanaian Times.
Yeah, thank you very much. Kenneth Kaunda, he's one of these great African leaders who founded a nation called Zambia. You know, Zambia used to be called Northern Rhodesia.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Zambia was part of Southern Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And but Kenneth Kaunda, under the tutelage of the Osajifo and the CPP, was able to create the United National Independent Party in Zambia. And I think Zambia got its independence in the 1964. I'm not very sure about it. Indeed, when we were going to secondary school, there was a book, Zambia Shall Be Free, which was authored by Kaunda, and which was one of the standard readings in our secondary schools under African Writers series. He was great because he didn't not only fight and achieve the independence of Zambia, but he was also part of what they call the frontline states. Those states which bordered the racist Southern Rhodesia, which became Rhodesia and which had declared a unilateral declaration of independence, UDI, by Ian Smith, in 1905 or so. And they fought, you know, when the ZANU, the ZAPLA were fighting in Zimbabwe, he gave them refuge. He also gave refuge to the ANC and also gave refuge to SWAPO in Namibia. And a lot of times Zambia was attacked militarily by the racist regime in Rhodesia. The refugee camps were being attacked. Zambia itself, infrastructure was being attacked, etc. They hardly could use their frontier with Rhodesia, which had the famous falls, you know, the so-called Victoria Falls, you know, for tourist attraction because of those attacks. Zambia, Kenneth Kaunda also sought to develop Zambia, and through state also built a lot of industries in Zambia, and tried to create the state institutions, the infrastructure for statehood of Zambia. Kaunda is a towering figure in the African independence struggle. He's a towering figure in Africa's quest for unity and for the formation of the Organization of African Unity. There's absolutely no doubt that Kaunda has paid his dues to his continent and to his people. It was rather unfortunate that when he lost the elections to President Chuluba, characteristics of the mindset of the elite in Africa, they even declared that he was a non-Zambian and that he was rather from Malawi. You understand? And they tried to humiliate the old man. I mean, the father of their independence. And that is the basic problem in our system. A basic problem of us not recognizing the positive things done by one's predecessor and trying to denigrate and blacken everything. And so going back, so the MPP, for example, comes to power in this country under President Akufo-Addo, and they think that they are now starting the history of Ghana. You understand? They are starting free education.
Yeah.
They are starting industry, 1D, 1F. They are starting irrigation and everything. Trying to make us forget that we have a history and that these things were done earlier, and trying to learn lessons from it so that we can build upon it. Knowledge and development of humanity has been building upon what has been gained before by our predecessors, and we build upon it and move forward. It is not gained by you thinking that you are the alpha and the omega who is starting the development of a nation or starting the nation afresh. And unfortunately, Zambia was taken to that path post Kaunda's rule, and it also this neoliberal market system. And now Zambia is so down that they have to sell most of their copper mines out to foreigners, and even the Chinese are taking over their infrastructure, like ports and etc., because they owe them so much and they are unable to pay for it. We hope that the spirit of Kenneth Kaunda, his spirit of fighting for independence, his spirit for the African unity, and his spirit for the development of his people would live on and would inspire the future generations who are coming.
All right, thank you so much for your submission, Honorable.
Yes, thank you, Justice. Let me say good morning once again to your distinguished viewers, my co-panelists, yourself, and your entire crew, my constituents, the Jirafa people, the NDC as a whole. Yes, I may the soul of Kenneth Kaunda rest in peace. Growing up as a young boy, hearing his name, you know, I thought he was one invisible person that could not die. You know, I didn't know death that much. So as a young boy growing up, his name was all over. Any news coming, you know, he will be heard. He was always heard. I believe that these old people who took the initiative to make their countries what they are, or for that matter, Africa, came to actually serve. You know, they came to serve with all their might and strength. They did not come with the mentality of enriching themselves, you know, and he's one such person, you understand. I want to look at maybe the lives of Nkrumah, who, you know, probably tutelage him and all of that. They came to really serve their countries, and having died at age 97, I'm more surprised about the fact that the African Union has declared a number of days for us to mourn him. I'm sure they realize his contribution to his country, his contribution to the African Union, and all of that. What else can I say other than to, say that may his soul rest in peace? Let our today's generation learn from people like this. Let us know that power cannot be with us forever. If you are not even being voted out, but the natural one will come, and that is death. So once you are given the opportunity to rule, you should think about all these things, and you should do well for your people, so that posterity, will be your judge, so that your name will continue to be mentioned. People will not forget about you. When you die, justice, just like Kenneth Kaunda is no more today, people are looking at what he did, when he had the power to rule Zambia. Yeah. They are comparing him to the other presidents that came after him, the Chilumba, the Banda, and the Edgar today. Yeah. They are comparing him today with all those who have served under him. So comparisons will always be done, you understand, as to what he came to do for his people. So if you have the opportunity to rule, try to do your best. Let your people, at least at every point in time, when your name is mentioned, as generations, come around, but they should know that at least somebody has served his people very well. So we wish, just, Kenneth Kaunda, my condolences to him and the family. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable, for your on the African story.
Justice, I'm not sure that the African Union could have done anything better than what they are doing, because we have all come to agree that the persona of late Kenneth Kaunda is quite an enviable one. I think that is left behind a legacy that ought to be emulated by the leaders that we have today. Kenneth Kaunda undoubtedly falls within the league of our own Nkrumah and his peers, who championed the fight for the liberation of the continent of Africa. Okay. And if you were to narrow it down to Zambia today, no one can downplay the contribution and the influence of Kenneth Kaunda as far as liberating Zambia and placing them on the kind of pedestal that they find themselves in today is concerned. He is considered as somebody who gave a lot of refuge to revolutionary movement, especially in Zambia and within the continent of Africa. And so if today we are here mourning his unfortunate demise, it's important that the whole of the African continent and indeed the black race, we try to eulogize him for it to be used as a reference point for leadership today to come to terms with the fact that they must not be living for themselves. They must be living for the good people of Africa whom they are leading. Because whether you like it or not, like Honorable Cletus rightly said, no one hangs on to power forever. Either you will be booted out of office or the natural consequence of death would really come. Yeah. Now you will have to ask yourself, when I leave the stage, what am I going to be remembered for? And so when you ask yourself those critical questions, then you come to understand why people like Kenneth Kaunda, they lived the kind of life that they lived. And they had to go through the kind of struggles that they went through. These were not struggles they were going through because they wanted anything for themselves personally. They thought about the greater good of society. They thought about the plight of their people. And that is how come they were able to have the kind of influence that they had. the kind of support that the support base that they had, that they could command a whole lot of people to come to converge at a certain idea, for them to pursue a certain vision that is in the interest of the totality of whoever they were leading. And I think that in death, all we can say is to pray for a peaceful recompose of his soul, and to keep reminding our present crop of leaders that Africa is not where it is supposed to be. Indeed, if we were to do a kind of analysis or comparative analysis of where we started from with the struggle for liberation and all of that, and where we are today, just as you would agree that we have gone nowhere, because the speed with which we started, we have stagnated so much, and we should have gone beyond where we are today. So let them have it at the back of their minds that we should not let the labor of such statesmen like Kaunda and Nkrumah be in vain. They should sit up and do the right and then continue the kind of priceless vision that these people had, so that at least Africa could be put on a better pedestal than it is now.
Yes, you are still watching Good Morning Africa Radio on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Sapia. We are live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. You can share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch today's edition of the program. You can as well send in your views, comments, and contributions on our WhatsApp/text line displayed on the screen. We'll make a time and read all those out for you. Now, let's come back home. 72 years on in Ghana's struggle for self-determination, CPP sets records straight on Nkrumah's legacies. And I'll start with Mr. Heneku once again on this.
Thank you very much, Justice. Well, it's interesting that on the 72nd anniversary of the formation of the CPP, you had the opponents of the CPP, led by ex-President Kufuor, attacking us and trying to denigrate whatever was done by the CPP led by the Osajifo. He indeed said that the Osajifo was visionless, he didn't have vision, and that he rushed into industrialization without any plan. It's quite unfortunate that Kufuor should be saying this. It's unfortunate because Kufuor was the president of a vision of Nkrumah, which was Ghana. The vision which informed the formation of the Convention People's Party 72 years ago was for us to attain independence now. Indeed, the UGCC people, realizing that they lacked in-depth organizational abilities, had to bring in the Osajifo from England, having heard of his prowess in organizing the Pan-African movement, especially the 5th Pan-African Congress in Manchester in 1945, and other bringing together other African leaders, would-be African leaders, going to Paris, organizing the leaders from the French-speaking countries, etc. And were sent to their various countries to spearhead their independence movement. The vision was an independent Ghana. In 1957, Nkrumah attained that vision. So I don't see what President Kufuor is saying when he says Kwame Nkrumah was visionless. Now, what do you attain independence for? What do you struggle for independence for? You struggle for independence from a foreign country in order to be able to fully realize your potential, in order to be able to use the resources of your own country for the benefit of the owners of those resources. Because hitherto, when the British were here, the resources of our country was used for the benefit of Britain. It was not used for the benefit of Ghana. Indeed, by 1951-52, you had to use a ferry to move from one part of Ghana to the Transvolta Togoland. Before 1951, the only industries we had in this country was Piccadilly biscuits in Jamestown You remember that there's round one.
There, yeah.
Yes. And the beer factory, the club, brewery.
Let me go for a short break. I'll be back.
Okay.
Let's go for a quick break. We'll be right back.
Every day, he has a drink filled with malt. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day, he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved. Every day, he looks after his brother and chases a bus. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, and learns new things. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, and gets back home. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, gets back home, and helps his mom. Phew. That's why every day he needs his cup of Milo filled with the nutritious goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa. Milo, the energy to go further.
From Nestle.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. We're coming to you from our studios in Abilimpe 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. Keep your messages coming in. We'll make a time and read all those out for you. Mr. Eneku.
Yeah, 90% of Ghanaians were into fishing and farming by 1951. There was hardly any industry in this country. You know, Ghana as a colony, or the Gold Coast as a colony, was a place for us to be used as a market to market British consumer goods. It was a place as a source of raw materials and a place for cheap labor to increase the profit of the few of the investment, especially in the mining and timber industry in our country, all for the benefit of the foreigners, not for the benefit of the people of this country. Yes, they will talk about Achimota School. Achimota School, in the midst of 6 million people, just one school. The others, yes, you hear of Adisada and others. Did they really have compounds? So the Ghana Education Trust school bill was passed, which invested in a whole lot of campuses and compounds for these schools and made them government assisted. So what was the state of our country after 1951 when Nkrumah came to power? And in 1952, what did Nkrumah do? Nkrumah did the 5-year development plan. What was the outcome of the 5-year development plan? He saved over $400 million. That so-called money which they claim the British gave us was saved under the 5-year development plan by Nkrumah on taxes on cocoa exports. And I challenge any of them to come on and come up and come and prove whichever document the British have, which says that they left us money. He saved those money in British reserves, pound sterling securities, like China has securities in America and others. It is Russia which is now changing their dollar securities into yuan and euros. But it was we who saved the money. It was Nkrumah who led it under the 5-year development plan. He built Adomi Bridge, which connected us with Transvolta Togoland, because he had a vision of a united Gold Coast, a united Ghana. And he achieved it in 1956 when the Transvolta Togoland voted in a plebiscite to join the rest of the Gold Coast. Those were the visions, and he realized that. So how does President Kufuor come and tell us? President Kufuor, who actually sold the golden shares in our gold, sold Ghana Telecoms, come and tell us about vision. It says that Kwame Nkrumah didn't have a plan. And I told you, he had a 5-year development plan.
Okay.
He had a 2-year consolidated plan. He had a 7-year development plan. And in all these plans, it was not only industries, it was also the development of education. He realized that most of the adults in this country were illiterate. When we say illiterate, it's not your ability your inability to speak or write in English, by your inability to read and write. So he used mass literacy to extend education to the adult population. Have you heard of the disease called yaws? You know, the disease elephantiasis.
Yeah.
There were campaigns against all these things, and they were wiped out from our country. Konfanachi Hospital was built by Kwame Nkrumah under the first 5-year development plan. Kolebu was expanded under the 5-year development plan. Before 1951, if you wanted to go to Cape Coast from Accra, you have to go and pass through Nsawam, pass through Adesu, and get to Winneba or something. There was no through route. Kwame Nkrumah built that route and built other routes in our country. So how can you say that the guy didn't have a plan? Then you say that he rushed into industrialization. Yes, why not? We needed to add value to our raw materials. We were cultivating cotton in the north. So yes, a ginnery was built in Tamale. Yes, Japan textiles were built to make the yarn. Akosombo textiles was built to make the cloth. Why? Because Ghanaians were putting on cloth. So why should we be importing Holland from the Dutch, who do not put on Holland cloth or Dutch cloth, but we do? So he was adding value to our own raw materials. You know, yesterday I was having a discussion with a friend, and he brought my attention to one thing. When I was coming from home, I live in Tema. I have to use the motorway.
Yeah.
Just imagine, Tema, Nkrumah built the harbor. Nkrumah built the motorway. Then Nkrumah built the Akosombo Dam. Can you imagine the state of our country if these three were to shut down for 1 week? Half of our electricity will go off. There will be no imports through Tema, and the motorway will be blocked. Ghana will collapse. That is the vision of Nkrumah, and that's the worth of the legacy of Nkrumah. Of course, you are supposed to always have a critique of whatever has happened. But you don't shamelessly come and just do propaganda. And for a president, for somebody who has been a president of the country, who took us to HIPIC, whose legacy are, excuse me to say, just toilets, who hardly built any industry here, who waited till we got into Dumso. And I remember very well.
Mr. Eneko, are we being fair to former President John Ejekunku by saying that his legacies are just toilets? I mean,
yes, but I didn't say only toilets. I said there was Dumso, and then he brought toy generators under Reku Brobe. We lived through it, so we saw it. You understand? So something which should have been done in 1966. In fact, they started doing it. Buidam. He went and pledged our cocoa.
National Health Insurance.
Did he initiate National Health Insurance, or he initiated? He continued an insurance scheme which had been started by the NDC. Be it as it may, he did. National Health Insurance, please. What is its real benefit to the mass of the people? Most people go to hospital and they pay. Most critical diseases in this country are very expensive. I see with my own eyes people who are dying from certain critical diseases because they can't afford to pay for it. That is a fact. You understand?
Very well.
So he could have come to give a critique which made sense, which was logical. But you don't come and say somebody was visionless when you benefited from his vision of an independent Ghana. You don't say that somebody was visionless when you benefited from his vision of providing electricity for us, for creating roads, for building industries. Why is President Akufo-Addo saying 1D, 1F? And let's look at the difference between Nkrumah's industrialization and President Akufo-Addo's industrialization. Nkrumah created industrial enclaves in areas which was near to raw materials. People didn't understand why he went to build a meat factory in Zuarungu in Bolgatanga, because it was near to the source of raw materials. That is the cow. And he didn't only build that meat factory, he also built a factory, a tannery factory in the Volta region to process the hide from the cow. And then built a shoe factory. So instead of we eating the willy, part of the willy was used to make shoes for everybody in this country to wear sandals. At that time, they used to call it Achimota sandals, because most people were walking barefooted in this country. In my generation, I saw people walking barefooted in this country. So you see, he linked this country by industry. Why not build a ceramics factory? Why do we import second-hand WCs when we ourselves were making our own WCs? Is that what is rushing into industry? I don't know. I think that he missed it big time. He wanted to denigrate the 72 years of the historical significance of the formation of the Convention People's Party. Of course, they will never forgive the people, because the CPP represented the mass of the people, and it was only the mass of the people who could attain independence. It was not the elite who had sold themselves to foreigners and who were just happy to be appendages of foreigners. And because we are happy to be appendages of foreign capital, that is why we are not moving. That's why we have opened our borders. Privatization, import everything. So Pomazi was giving us chicken. Now we import chemically laden chicken. The North was giving us rice. Now we import all the rice. I mean, what kind of country is this? And you want to tell me that Ghana now can be compared to Ghana in the First Republic? I think they are daydreaming. They will never succeed, because the repository of history is in the memory of the people. There's no amount of things you can write or everything. Now, for example, there are a lot of things which were written by the white man about Greece and all those things. We all know that most of the knowledge for ancient Greece was from Egypt, etc. As for historical facts, they will always be there.
Do you think some of these statements are made out of sheer hatred for the first president of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah? Can we also link this to reasons why attempts are made to make sure that the history of this country is distorted? You know that even there has been issues with Founders Day and the reasons why we need not to, credit one person to be the founder of this country and all that. Can we link some of these statements to these happenings?
Justice, it goes beyond the hatred of that one person called Nkrumah. It is the hatred of the people. I mean, what did Kwame Nkrumah represent? Kwame Nkrumah represented the ordinary person from some village called Nkrumah, which had never been heard. Nkrumah was not at the same pedestal as Kumasi or Chebi or Accra. So he was a nobody from nowhere, who suddenly came and became the leader of the people of this country. And he and his comrades led the people of this country to do things. They fought against Britain. Britain was an empire where the sun never set. Rule Britannia. You understand? Very powerful. You get it. But little Ghana, led by some village boy called Kwame Nkrumah, fought against these people and then led the rest of Africa for independence. Something which the elite, the so-called educated class in our country, those from the feudal, were never able to do. Why weren't they able to do it? Because they were the people who sold us into slavery. They were the people who made a pact with the British in order to save their skin under indirect rule and allow Britain to rule us, impose colonialism on us from 1879 to 1957. and the people rejected them. The people knew that they were abysmal. They could not rule. And the people rejected them. And so they are unable to forgive. So they must rewrite history, which does not make sense and which people reject, because people have memory. The people have memory. And they know what they've done. And they know post-1966 what has happened to our country. Now everywhere you pass in this country, you are likely to be shot by armed robbers, etc., etc. Then they will come and say PDA. PDA put all the criminals, both political criminals and ordinary criminals, into jail. So there was peace in this country. Just after 1966, when you read the newspapers, you go into the archives. You realize armed robbers started robbing bullion vehicles who were taking money for cocoa to purchase cocoa on the Sawun Road, etc., etc. Post 1966, before that, it didn't exist. When do we talk about the history of this country? It's to give us inspiration. In Britain, they in the universities, Oxford, etc., they learn classical and have appropriated the civilization of ancient Egypt and Rome for themselves to act as an inspiration. That's what inspired the Renaissance 500 years ago for to move out of the Dark Ages. And so we need to render our history faithfully and truthfully, and not use political expediency to attack. I'm sorry for Mr. Kufuor. I think he has become senile, and he has opened himself to unwarranted attacks for his gaffe.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Eneku, for your submission. Now let me come to Honorable. Honorable, 72 years on in Ghana's struggle for self-determination, CPP sets records straight on Nkrumah's legacies.
Yes, Justice. The other time we discussed this comment by the gentle giant on your studio here, and I want to so say that the gentle giant was just trying to do some damage control about happiness in the current government. But I, looking at him, at his age, you know, a statesman, somebody that his people cherish so much and love so much. I have a lot of, you know, belief in President Kufuor, where he honestly didn't rule this country with, you know, he didn't tear the country apart as we are experiencing today. So many people love him, and I cherish him, though coming from the NDC, until he made this statement. You know, he needlessly brought himself for unwarranted criticism and all of that, which I think is needless. But let me also add that, do we actually need this justice? Nkrumah did his part. Nkrumah played his part. Whatever his fault, his strength, Nkrumah is gone. If we want to say be comparing Kwame Nkrumah, want to say that what Nkrumah did or Nkrumah didn't do much as compared to today's contemporary Ghana, then I think that we haven't moved on. We have not moved on. The man did a lot for this country. Whether you liked him or not, that is Kwame Nkrumah. That was the CPP. That is their legacy. You cannot take it away from them. So why even today, how many years today? Nkrumah died almost 50 years today. Nkrumah was overthrown almost 55 years today. Yet, we seek to discuss Kwame Nkrumah. Yet, we want to compare today to 55 years ago. Yes, we can do comparison. But the comparison should not be like 55 years ago. We want to compare the current crop of activities or the current happenings in this country to 55 years ago, and to mean that today is better. No. it means we have not moved on as a country. So for me, I want to say that the CPP had a very good plan for this country. They executed it so well until the man in Nkrumah was overthrown. Today, those who actually fought Nkrumah's ideologies, those who betrayed this man, those who sold this man to the CIAs and all of that, they have come home to tell us today that the man didn't do well, or today is better than his regime, which nobody will take. If you look, let's don't try to rewrite the history of this country. President Kufuor has a history. He has a legacy. Tomorrow, if anybody wants to take away his legacy, I will not agree as a Ghanaian, because he also did his part. So if Nkrumah played a role, all the things that my senior colleague mentioned about, all the developments that Nkrumah brought, you can't take them away from the man. He did them. They happened under his regime. You understand? And for me, what made me love Kwame Nkrumah is the fact that he wasn't corrupt. Nkrumah wasn't corrupt. The only thing the anti-Nkrumahis will say is that he was using our money to support other countries. Even today it's happening. Even today it's happening. You understand? It's happening. I don't know, I can't remember, but a disaster happened somewhere and President Ronaldo sent $2 billion. Haiti. You understand? So can you say that we are sending things to support other African countries? Even today, when our roads are bad, when we have poor security situation in the country, when schools, there are no classrooms, there's no furniture for people to sit, when daily bread is an issue in this country, yet President Ronaldo found $2 million to support Haiti and others. So can we get up and say that, because, or tomorrow, if Ronaldo is not a president, can we crucify him for the fact that he supported Haiti with $2 million? No. So how different is this from what Nkrumah did? And if you meet any anti-Nkrumah, what he will tell you is that this is why I don't like Kwame Nkrumah. No. No, it will always happen. We are Africans. We are together. We are neighbors. We must support one another. You understand? So whatever Nkrumah did, then at that time, there was a need for him to support. There was a need for him to support. He supported. But it's not like he took our money to go and build people's country. That was not what Kwame Nkrumah did. It's just the same support that today's President Ronaldo gave to Haiti and others. It's the same thing he also did. You see? So for me, let us look at the man. Let us look at his legacy as it is. We shouldn't distort history. Let's look at him as somebody who was not corrupt. That's what I admire him. Kwame Nkrumah has children today in this country. They are not rich. They are not rich. The Sanya Nkrumahs, the Sekus, they are in this country. They are not rich. Look at the time their father started fighting for this country. Their father could monopolize this country. Their father could get them so much resources, bank accounts into other countries. But the man didn't do that. Today, people come into power. People come into power. Go see what their children are doing. Go and look at their children.
Celebrating birthday.
You understand? When they celebrate it, the whole world will hear. Birthday alone.
Flying musicians from
the
UK.
Tell me when the kind of Nkrumah never chartered such flights to attend meetings. He never did. He never did. Today, the president is saying that he wants a flight that when he is flying, he can bath. You understand?
We want to bath.
You understand?
Bath.
So for me, let's do the comparison. We shouldn't do the comparison. What Ghanaians want today is that we should fix our security situation. Our education, is collapsing or has even collapsed. Our educational system has collapsed. Local governance is dead. Just as go to all the assemblies, they are virtually collapsed, except those assemblies that are able to generate small, because we are almost finishing half of the year. They have not sent a dime to the assemblies by way of common fund. So there's no activity happening in any assembly. If they have even an issue of 2,000, 5,000 issue, I tell you that most assemblies cannot attend to it because there is nothing. You understand? The common fund formula, they are yet to bring it for us to approve in Parliament. Health insurance formula, they are yet to bring it to Parliament for us to approve. Debt fund came, but they didn't come well. So we asked them to go and come back. Well, what they brought, there were a whole lot of issues in it, which I don't want to disclose here because they are going to bring it back. So we asked them to go away and, correct their house and come back. You understand? So all these statutory disbursements have not been done in the middle of the year. And we sit down and we are talking about a man that we just out of, jealousy, condone and connive with the Europe, their wives to overthrow. 55 years today, we still want to be talking about the man. When we people are struggling to eat. You understand? So for me, Nkrumah, a perfect gentleman, a man who came and served his country with all his might and strength. Let's give praises to where it is. Let's don't discredit that man. Look, if all our heads of states were behaving like Nkrumah, I tell you that we will not be where we are today. You understand? The man didn't come to steal. The man didn't come to make money. The man didn't come to live a lavish lifestyle. No. But moving on, what are we seeing today? What are we seeing today? Oh, president's daughter, president's brother, president's cousin, president this, displaying wealth. That is what is happening today. And we sit down to condemn somebody who is passed on almost 50 years today. I don't think that debate, we need it. What we need today, people are struggling for daily bread issues. People are fighting for, we want an economy that should be robust, an economy that should support, all sectors, of life, all spheres of life. That is what we need. Comparisons are over. That is not what we need now. So for me, Justice, I think that the gentle giant, what I heard behind the scenes is that the gentle giant's own supporters, like his close allies, are not very happy with the statement that he made. But I think he did it for a purpose. The attack, on the current government was too much. So he did it to save,
divert attention.
But many are also blaming him that he is not the one to do that. The level of, respect, esteem people accord him, he is not the one to do that kind of gutter politics. You understand? Your President Kufuor, he doesn't deserve this. I feel sad when I'm talking about him because he served this country so well. Like I said, tomorrow, anybody who will want to distort the legacy of President Kufuor, me as an NDC, I will want to set the record straight. So it's not surprising that the CPP, they've done very well by trying to set the record straight. You understand? I cannot fault them so much because they didn't generate the controversy. But everybody, every small child knows the worth of Kwame Nkrumah. Though all of us never met him, and even today's school children, but when you read about leaders, then you hear of the man Kwame Nkrumah, you will know that no one comes to him in terms of comparison. You understand? So for me, CPP, kudos for setting the record straight. But on the lighter note, or on a more serious note, the CPP or the Nkrumahs, they should, I don't know, they have also overly relied so much on Nkrumah's ideologies, and is making them difficult to organize. Well, Nkrumah is not there. How he was doing the organization, you people were not there.
But they have learnt it.
They have studied it. They only studied it. Practically, they were not there to practice it. So I think that they should try to just reorganize.
But they can't depart from the ideology.
No, I'm coming.
But you're also relying on
listen.
Rawlins's
ideology.
Let me tell you something. You know why?
Relying on
I'm coming.
Ideology.
I'm coming. So let me tell you something. The NDC was able to depart a bit from Wallace as a person.
Because he betrayed you and went to support.
No, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
He started attacking Tamils and Mahama and all those things.
I don't know about that. But let me tell you, on this score, I will want to praise former President Wallace, the likes of Haruna Idrisu, the General Secretary Johnson Seydou Katie, and many others who stood their grounds and at least made the NDC what it is today, because they knew that tomorrow, if they did not try to at least ensure that or try to separate the party in a way from the man Wallace, Wallace would have died with the party. But you saw even in his death, the NDC went into an election without him, and we came stronger. You understand? And I'm telling you that in 2024, we will emerge stronger and victorious in the next elections. So the CPP, the Nkrumah, they should try in a way to organize. They can mobilize. They can mobilize. But if all is centered on Nkrumah, the Nkrumahs who want to come together, that's why they cannot come together. You understand? Even in NDC, you have Nkrumahs. Even in NDC.
But you, the MPP and NDC,
the MPP,
succeeded in snatching their members.
No, we are not. Is the disunity? Is the manner in which
you are part of?
As we are talking, listen, my brother, PNC is here, CPP is here. You understand? These people, if they say they are coming together, it's about sharing. You understand? I think it's the problem. Who leads, who does what, I think is the reason why they are not able to come together.
No,
but until, yes, it is. Let me just say it is. Because as of now, at the time we were hearing that they want to merge, they want to come together, that is the time CPP will be organizing their congress. That's the time PNC will be seriously also organizing to elect leadership. Instead of them to say that.
Honorable, if we are to look at NDC, and was it Guzitano and all those offshoots and everything?
Yes.
Didn't they also organize their congresses before later on they came together with you, because the main NDC, the main NDC had power. The truth of the matter is that you can never say that because they are Protestants, they are Catholics, they are evangelicals, Christianity is not one. It is one. And we all believe in the legacy and the thoughts of Kwame Nkrumah. Look, the man himself, Kufuor, is a perfect beneficiary of the CPP or the Nkrumah's unity. Because without the Nkrumah's support for him in 2000, he would never have become president of this country. He's perfidious. And it's a fact. What
I want to say
in 2000, the Nkrumahs came together. The Nkrumahs came together. I was practically coerced by my comrades into standing on the platform to support this man.
Yes, the fact that we have various types of Christians, doesn't mean that there's no Christianity. But when we all say that, okay, all Christians should practice Catholicism, we should all be Catholics. It's an example. You understand? Then we come here every day and talk about it. Yet we are not able to make any move. That's the point that I'm making. I'm saying that
Christians are always talking about Jesus Christ.
I'm saying that
2,000 years post.
I'm saying that the CPP, PAC have been talking of a merger. You understand? Yet all of them will be busily reorganizing, electing national executives and all of that. If we check, when Guzitano and Co were to be brought back, they didn't go to elections again. They allowed what's the name of that party?
Didn't Samuel then go for a congress with from Jirapa.
Yes,
your neighbor.
Honorable
Yes,
but I'm saying that when we spoke to them,
that is not a problem.
When we spoke to them,
has to unite,
come back,
we would unite.
But don't you think that it's a matter of time? I mean, giving them
what time again? The time is now.
It took time. It took time for for the likes of Obeda Samoa, Betzidin, and you know,
the Eagle Party. The Eagle Party is still there. The Akumedu is having a party.
They need time to also, you know, merge. Don't you think so?
Kunedu is having a party.
For me, Kunedu is no more with our party. He's
the way. But Kunedu has taken part of the ruling
justice. The issue is about, I'm talking about unism in Nkrumah, in Nkrumah's party. You understand? That is just
unite.
We are talking about. The NDC is a united party. We are not fragmented like the Nkrumah is. You understand? So when you are now, like you are comparing what we are discussing to the NDC, you will be missing the point.
But they are telling you that series of meetings have happened.
No, that's what I'm now telling you. The reason why they are not able to come together. You understand? Justice, if we say that we want to unite,
okay,
you understand? It means that the planning, they should have what they call a national congress. A national congress should emerge. They should go to the constituencies, polling stations.
It's a process, isn't it?
No, they have not even tried it. They come to the top here. 2 or 3 people will come together and talk of unism.
But you are not in any of these parties. Yeah. How did you get this information? Because Ishak has just...
I'm saying that when Ishak will talk, as a Liverpool is talking. But what I just want to say is yes, I'm saying that.
The Rollins legacy, part of it is with Kunedu. Part of it is somewhere.
That part, let me tell you, that part that is with Kunedu is negligible. It's insignificant. It doesn't have
let's step down. I come to
so justice. Let's build this country.
Okay.
People are suffering. That's the reason why we have President Nana Addo as president. You understand? I think that President Kufuor should advise President Nana Addo to try to at least ensure that what Ghanaians are calling for, it happened.
Right.
Because if times are difficult and people are calling on the president to fix the country, I think they have every legitimate right to call on the president to fix the country. In any case, the president came to power to fix things because he felt that things were not right under John Dramani Mahama. You understand? Okay. So if today he's the president and people are calling on him to fix the country, I think they are very right. You understand? Right. So no one should condemn, fix the country, demonstrators, or the conveners for calling on the president to fix the country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable, for your submission. Ishak, you are an Nkrumahist, and you are setting the record straight.
Justice,
on Nkrumah's legacies.
Justice, it is difficult this morning. It is difficult because of the man whose name is at stake and purported to have made this particular disingenuous statement.
Yeah.
I had wished that I would not, as it were, be given the difficult task of reviewing the topic that you have put before us. But I am not surprised that this statement has been made by no mean a person than His Excellency former President J. Kufuor.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that he's coming from a certain political stock. And this unfortunate statement by J. Kufuor, in my opinion, is a continuation of what happened right from the day Kwame Nkrumah severed ties with the UGCC and formed the Convention People's Party. Now, at that point in time, Justice, when these people pretended to be fighting for liberation, they were actually not fighting for the liberation of the people of Ghana or the Gold Coast then, or fighting for what we call independence and for self-determination and all of that. I think that they saw an avenue for them to build a certain clout around themselves. Because remember that the kind of struggle that they were engaged in, which meant that they had to bring in people like Kwame Nkrumah because of their radicalism and because of their experience in organization and all of that. Most of them were benefiting from the system individually because we are told of how they were being bankrolled by some elements within the Ghanaian society There were a lot of business merchants and all of that who were bamboozled. Most of them did not understand the kind of struggle that they were contributing to. So these guys were not interested in fast-tracking the process for us to gain the kind of independence that we needed. And so even the motto of the UGCC then, when they tell you that self-government within the shortest possible time, possibility is undefined. What do you mean by self-government within what was the shortest possible time? It was undefined. So when Nkrumah emerged and said that let us do it now, self-government now, that was the point of departure. And since then, these guys seem never to want to ask to forgive Kwame Nkrumah. But they cannot understand why, like Mr. Himeku said, a village boy from Nkrumah, it was in 2009 when the Kwame Nkrumah Centenary Planning Committee had been put in place to organize activities for the celebration of the centenary of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. As a small boy too, Bernard Mona, who was secretary to the committee, I had the privilege of following the committee to a number of programs. We went to Nkrumah. Even today, if you go to Nkrumah and you go and see Kwame Nkrumah's family house, a one-story building that Nkrumah was trying to put up for his family, it was overgrown by weeds. I went there and I saw it. Now, these at the time were already living in plush mansions. So they did not understand how Kwame Nkrumah could come and suddenly overtake all of them. And that is why they keep talking about the fact that we went and brought Kwame Nkrumah. There were 1,001 Ghanaians in the diaspora. Why did you choose Nkrumah? There were 1,001 Ghanaians in the diaspora. Why did you choose Nkrumah? It was because of his stature. It was because of what he has achieved for himself. And you saw that he was resourceful enough for you to go and bring him. You were not the ones who built him to that particular stature before you went and brought him. And so when you say that you are the guys who went and brought Nkrumah, and so what? You could have brought any other person. Why Nkrumah? Justice. So for me, I think that when some of these statements are made, we get to understand that this is a continuation of the attempts to continuously assassinate the character of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And like Honorable said, we have so many bread and butter issues for this government to come and solve. But immediately they came into office, Justice, the first thing they did was to bring to Parliament the so-called Holidays Amendments Act, which has been passed into law, all in an attempt to rewrite the history of this country. You understand? They are trying to distort the basic facts that we all know. And when Honorable says that school children, even if they don't know Nkrumah, they read and they get to understand who the man Kwame Nkrumah is. Today, go and take the curriculum. They have changed all the facts in the basic curriculum. The kind of books that they are giving to our kids, they are all aimed at changing and rewriting Ghana's history. They are not concerned about the quality of education. They are obsessed about Kwame Nkrumah and his legacy. And so when somebody like J. Kufuor comes to tell us that Nkrumah had no vision as far as industrialization was concerned, then I ask, what was his own version of a vision? Because he got the opportunity to be president. What did he do for this country? Justice. If we were to take away Kwame Nkrumah, the 9 years of Nkrumah's rule as prime minister, as president, or as leader of government business, as prime minister, as president, where would Ghana be? Well, let us face the facts. Where would Ghana be? Let us go and close the motorway. Let us say there's no motorway. Can Ghana move? Like Mr. Hineku said, let us go and collapse the Adome Bridge. Where would Ghana be? So I feel excited about the fact that it's not what people say that matters. It's about what people have seen. It's about what people experience. It's about what people can relate to what the great Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah did for this country of ours. The fact that he sacrificed his all. The fact that he left a shining legacy that would last forever. And Justice, when you have a poll across the globe and they are looking for Africa's man of the millennium, and and they see no other person but Kwame Nkrumah, J.A. Kufuor is not the one to come and tell us that Nkrumah had no vision. The rest of the world agrees that Ghana had a vision. And they like I indicated, this is all emanating from the fact that these guys don't want to heal from the pain, the needless pain that Nkrumah caused them. Was indeed, if you were after the interests of the Republic of Ghana, after the interests of the Gold Coast, then before independence, if you had another person who fast-tracked the process and ensured that we gained independence, why do you feel bitter about it? Is it about personal glory, or is it about the greater good of the entire populace of the Gold Coast then? Because if it were about the greater good of the populace, what you were looking for, that is what Kwame Nkrumah has brought. Why don't you want to forgive him? So clearly, if we were to do a perusal of it, you get to understand that they were interested about themselves. And they were not looking to better the fortunes of the Ghanaian people. And so for me, it does not matter what they do. They can never bury Kwame Nkrumah and his legacy and his vision for that matter. They can try. Like I keep saying, it's like hitting their feet against the rock. The only result will be the fact that they will get hurts. They will get sour toes. The rock would feel nothing. Nkrumah is like a rock. His legacy is like a rock. You can't do anything about it. Nkrumah's legacy is Ghana, and Ghana is Nkrumah's legacy. You can't take away that fact. Look, let's make reference to this Holidays Amendment Act. They have come to change a whole lot of the things. When those days come, those anniversary days comes, that are supposed to celebrate Kwame Nkrumah, if you are not celebrating it officially, but the atmosphere itself tells you that today there is something about a great man. So it is not about what they put into the books. It's not about what they put into our laws. Nkrumah's legacy would speak for itself. And I feel so sad for Kufuor. Kufuor should be telling us his legacy, and not to be trying to circumvent issues, and not for him to be trying to do a kind of PR because he thinks that his president is failing and something needs to be done. Kufuor is not the one to come and do this kind of PR. I think that he should continue to hold himself as a statesman and not make such statements.
Right. Okay, thank you so much, Shaq, for your submission. Now,
you didn't talk about CPP.
Well, you see, if we were to be given the whole of this morning show to talk about CPP or Nkrumah's merger, we may not even finished. It is true. You are giving us some kind of free consultancy. It is true that if we want to merge, we must have a common ground before we go for our separate national congresses. That could be one aspect of it. But it is also possible that we can even go and elect our leaders, and those leaders can go together and still go and take a decision on behalf of all Nkrumahs, and their respective individual parties would also go and rectify it. So for me, I think that really it's not about the process. It's about the conviction, and it's about, sometimes I don't know what to say, because individually we all agree that we should come together. But you know, people elect us. People formed these parties and all of that. So I can tell you that at the appropriate time, we'll surely unite.
Very well. Very well. Very well. If you want more of, the history of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, please call us on 0240-748782 to get yourself a copy of the Fight Back compiled by the Socialist Forum of Ghana. Fight Back is 25 cedis. Call us on 0240-748782. 0240-748782 and get yourself a copy of the Fight Back, and you'll get every single thing in that book. That book will give you an insight. It will tell you some of the distorted histories by some group of persons, and it will give you the right history behind the distorted ones. And so get yourself a copy of the Fight Back, which goes for 25 cedis, and you can call us on 0240-748782. 0240-748782. But please call us right after the program. If you call now, we can't answer the call, so call us after the program, and we see how best we can get you a copy of the Fight Back. Now let's move straight to the next topic, and I'll start with you, Honorable, on this. Ghana is safe. 215 suspected criminals grabbed, says the Ghana Police Service. But you also know that when the bullion van was attacked at the Dinkpo near Kolebu, there were issues. People have raised a lot of concerns, and the IGP says crime is everywhere. It's not just in Ghana. He could not fathom why people will be complaining about some of those heinous crimes that were being committed and all of that. He made that statement. I think the Minister of Interior has also been alleged to have made a similar statement and all of that. Now the police is trying to say that the country is safe because some 215 suspected criminals have been grabbed. Your take on that?
I would want to, give my take on by giving some recommendations. Justice, we need to consider the integrity of our security system, especially the Ghana Police Service. There must be some level of integrity within the rank and file of the security system. 2, politicians should allow the security agencies to operate freely without being helplessly manipulated by them. 3, justice, the caliber of people that we are recruiting into the security services is a very big issue. But tomorrow we will have Ghana Police Service or security systems that cannot protect anybody in this country, let alone to fight any external battle. Justice, all these I have mentioned, but the bane of it is on the politician. The politicians want to manipulate our security systems to the extent that, people who are not supposed to be recruited in the police system, in our, all the security units, they are the people that they are recruiting today. And I get worried about that. And everybody should be worried about that. Look, last I came here and I was going home. Then, just on the way, I saw policemen who, were checking, they were on the road using flashlights to be looking at barriers, like people who are driving past, they will look at your face and check whether you are carrying. I don't know what they are always checking for, because they don't do any serious checks anyway. Then I asked them, as you are here, what do you have to protect yourselves? Or even protect me that you have stopped here, the way you've stopped me. If our robbers come here, can you protect me? They don't have it. What they have is just the torchlight. So I told them that you are risking your life, and you are risking the lives of myself and others, because if you stop us here and our robbers rounded us here, you can't protect me. Why do you go for operations like that in the night without any weapon to protect yourself, let alone to protect the citizenry? I've come to work. I've closed. I'm going home. I'm not a criminal, but you cannot determine that I'm not a criminal. So you want to search me. You understand? But the environment should be conducive that if our robbers bounce on us, you should be able to protect me. So I told them, when they were looking at me, I said, no, please, tell your superiors. They should not send you out. They shouldn't risk your life that manner. Any superior police officer or military officer, when he is going anywhere, you can imagine the level of security protection that is given that person. Go to their houses and see. Let them move, that they want to move into town. Let the IGP move now, and you see the caliber of security that you move with. Then they will send you people to come and stand here. I told them, when you go for your welfare meetings, tell your superiors, but they are opening you up for people to kill, armed robbers to kill. They should protect you. You understand, justice? So for me, let's consider the fact that we have to protect lives and property. the security should be allowed. We should stop political operations, political promotions in the security services. We should stop it. We should stop it. There are people who think that who are in positions because they felt they belong to the MPP. Police officers, which is wrong. Which is wrong. Police officers. Let's stop any police officer. Any senior officer who is on retirement is on retirement. He should go home. Let's stop giving them contract appointment. They work. It's about security. Other people want to come up. Let's allow the system to naturally promote them. It's about who has entered first. It's about who has entered with what qualification. It's about who qualifies to be in this position. Let's put them there. But if we turn the security system into a political arena where we give favors, I tell you that we have a security system that cannot protect us tomorrow. All of us, including those who are doing that, they should be very mindful of that. You understand? What we see today, look, when they talk of recruitment, now I tell you that if you go and talk of recruitment into the police service, into the military, anybody you contact will tell you that you have to know a politician. Is that right? The politicians, is that what we want to be hearing? So you cannot naturally advertise for deserving people to be recruited into our security system unless you know a politician who can put you there. Is that right? And the politicians, they hear this and they know that this is what they are doing, yet they are doing it. That is where I believe that time will come, we'll have a fragile security system in this country. And that is where all of us will know what we have done to ourselves over the years. I'm so sad and perturbed about it. You understand? Yes, security is security. And the other thing I want to talk about is that the armed robbers or the criminals have also realized that during the day, there is no police visibility or security visibility within certain strategic areas in our towns and certain highways. That is why they target and rob. Many of the robberies that have taken place within the short period, all of them have happened in the daytime. All of them have happened in the midst of towns, crowded people. You understand? Because they know they are studying the way the police are operating. So what they do is that we think that it's only in the night that criminals can strike. No, they can operate at any point in time. One other thing, I bumped into police officers who were on duty, so relaxed on their mobile phones. I was using an Uber. So they stopped the Uber driver. They didn't know an MP was sitting inside. So, and they were carelessly all standing, talking. So they said, they were doing this. And 3 of them were sitting so relaxed. And another one was chatting with a friend. They are not always alert. That's just what I want to say. So I told them, I came out and I said, look, you people, what happened just recently in Jamestown, it should tell you that at any point in time, anybody can attack you. If our robbers, if they go and do their operation and they are running away and you are so relaxed like this, they will kill all of you and run because they will think that you can harm them. Look at the moment in which you are so relaxed. You are supposed to be on duty. You are here to protect lives and property. Look at you. You are fidgeting on your phone. You are chatting with a friend. Is that why you are here? So I'm telling them, you yourself, you are putting your lives in danger. If you go to work, you have to be alert. You should be 24-hour alert as long as you are on duty post, even if you are not on duty as a peace officer. But you should be very alert. You understand? Because we rely on you people for intelligence. So if it happens that you people go to duty posts and so relaxed, you are chatting, you are WhatsApping, you are doing video calls, you are on Facebook, how can you protect us? The leadership should look at that. Leadership should look at that. There should be supervisors. I don't know whether when they go on duty, they don't have people supervising them. I'm calling on my big brother, the Honorable Ambrose Derry. I know he's a serious man. I know these things happening under his watch. He is not a happy man. And I know he will take steps to look at what is happening in the security system. He's such a serious person I respect so much. So please, let us get people to monitor these people. They should monitor those we send on duty. We should have system to monitor them. By now, anywhere that we send these people, many of these, like the banks and any serious working environment that we send these police officers, we should have a system by way of technology to monitor them. Not necessarily even moving there, but we can sit in offices and monitor them. It happens. It's technology. You understand? There's no need sending officers to go down with fuel, checking them, whether they are doing well. No, we can monitor them. It's happening. Even some private security institutions, they have a system of monitoring those they send to private homes or to go and protect people. So Ghana Police Service should be able to do that. Otherwise, we will be at where we are. And I'm so sad, Justice. Lives are losing every day. Property, we are losing property every day. Okay. But my advice to the armed robbers or the criminals is that, please, we will die. You should know one day you will die. So let's all repent. We should repent. Don't go and kill people because you want to take their money. Don't even go to take anybody's money in the first place. The Bible, the Quran, the Holy Books is against that. And you know that however criminal you are, if you are the #1 armed robber in this country, but you will die one day. When you die, what are you going to tell your maker? Please, let us make the country safe for all of us. Your grandmothers are crying that you are attacking us. You are attacking them. Your grandfathers are crying. Let's stop. Let's all go to work. We can all work. We can do farming. We can do labor work. We can work and get something to eat. Okay. Other than looking for big monies to live a lavish lifestyle. Please, no. Money will come when it will come. Okay.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for your submission. Let me come to Ishak before we wrap up with Mr. Heneko. But I would want to read this from the Inspector General of Police. He says, there is crime everywhere apart from heaven. Inspector General of Police, IGP James Opombwenu, has come under immense criticisms over growing insecurity in the country, with some security analysts calling for his resignation. He told journalists after he visited the residence of the late police constable Emmanuel Osei, who was shot by some armed robbers on Monday, June 14, when he was providing escort to a bullion van. The IGP indicated that despite the alarming rate of insecurity, Ghanaians should lower their expectations from the police because crime is experienced everywhere, including developed countries. So, the recent spate of crime is not peculiar to Ghana. Quote, we are doing what we can to protect the people of Ghana. There is no society in the world where there is no crime, even in the USA, UK, and Sweden, where they more or less have everything. They still have crime. The only place that doesn't have crime is heaven, and we are not in heaven. James Opombwenu said, please don't call me. Don't call this line. I'm sorry. So if any so-called security, and once again, quote, so if any so-called security analyst is saying that we are not on top of our game, and that's why these things are happening, he does not know what he is talking about. He charged. The IGP noted that the Ghana Police Service is resolving the challenges it is currently facing, adding that more security personnel have been deployed on the roads to intensify patrol. Ishak, the police says Ghana is safe.
And this man, he's a lawyer.
Oh, is he a lawyer?
Yes, I think the IGP is a lawyer. It's so unfortunate, very unfortunate. And then on Father's Day, he's the same person who said criminals are born out of broken homes as a result of irresponsible fatherhood.
Yes, I think I read that too.
He said that one. So he's engaged in a lot of bad PR. That is not why he's been made IGP, especially that he's on contract. Like my honorable friend said, look, people should be given contracts based on their track record. You see, when you reach the age of retirement, the decision to have an opportunity for somebody to be given a contract is when you are rest assured that that person has a certain quality out of experience that he can bring to bear as far as the job description is concerned. at that point in time, you can give the person a contract, and then the person will be able to give that indication. But as we have it now, it's more or less like we are just giving people the opportunity to amass more salary and go and retire. You understand? It's not because we think that there's nobody within the police hierarchy who have that expertise, that experience, that professionalism to occupy the office of IGP. You understand? And so for me, I don't know why the president is keeping Mr. James Opombuonu around, because he's not giving any such indication that he's got anything different, extraordinarily different, as far as operating in the office of Inspector General of Police is concerned. But I think that at that level, we must begin to have a certain look at our security architecture. Now, when we appoint somebody like the IGP must be able to sign on to a certain performance contract with the people of the Republic of Ghana through whoever is appointing him, whether the president or the police council or whatever. He must be able to tell us that, given the opportunity, this is what I intend to do.
Okay.
You understand? As Inspector General of Police, I think that we have difficulties in so and so areas. This is what I want to do if given the opportunity, so that we can take him to task as far as that vision is concerned. But Justice, we don't do that for these people. It's just like the usual park, ride in the park. We give them the opportunity, they go out there, there's nothing for us to hold them onto. So the fellow says in the office, whether things are going bad or things are going on good enough, they will hold on to the office until they decide to retire. And that is not how it should be. Unless we begin to look at it from that angle, I am not sure that we can deliver the kind of security that the good people of Ghana are looking up to. And so, Mr. James Opombuonu, they should tell him that he should stop talking. I think that he's talking plenty. It is not about talk. It is about what people are going through. You understand? And people say that the criminals are always ahead of the security agencies. That is the more reason why we should begin placing premium on security intelligence. It's not just about the fact that you are deploying people here, you are deploying people in combat operations. No. Security now should be more about intelligence. You must be able to gather intelligence, act on that intelligence, and be able to apprehend whoever is engaged in one form of crime or the other. The issue of having to sit back for people to strike and then you would move in, commence investigations and all of that, it's not serving the purpose now. Things have actually changed. And we need to begin looking at our security situation from that perspective. It is more about intelligence. It's not just about combat operations. But for me, the situation as we have it now, just as we ask ourselves, why is the violent crime increasing? Why is violent crime increasing? That is because the criminals themselves have come to know that there's a certain lapse within the security setup, within the security apparatus, to the extent that the propensity for them to be caught out and to be apprehended, to be prosecuted and all of that, it's so minimal. And so most often than not, these criminals get away with whatever crimes they are engaged in. So when we have such a perception about the system, a lot more criminals are persuaded and motivated to want to engage in crime because they know that the propensity for them to be caught out is low. But if we had a system where almost all the time, anyone who engages in one form of crime or the other is apprehended, the criminals themselves will think twice before they decide to engage in one form of crime or the other, because nobody wants to be apprehended because they know the repercussions of their actions. So let us begin to instill a certain kind of fear in the criminals. Other than that, justice, no matter what we do, our lives would continue to be at risk.
All right, thank you so much, Shaq, for your submission. Mr. Eneku, let's wrap up on this topic. Ghana is safe. 215 suspected criminals grabbed, says police. But it looked as if it wasn't only the IGP who made that statement. The Interior Minister, Honorable Ambrose Terry, also says Ghana is safe. Go to other countries and see what is happening. That is to justify his point that we are safe as a country.
Well, Justice, it's quite interesting. I don't know whether this 200 and how many? 15.
Yeah.
They are suspected criminals.
Yeah.
They were not caught engaged in crime.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's a gimmick to try to assuage us of the reality of the situation which we are seeing of the police itself being a victim of attacks during the commissioning of crimes. So I take it with a pinch of salt. I mean, it means nothing, absolutely means nothing, and it does not assuage our fears. The truth of the matter is that nobody is born a criminal. It's society whose policies bring out or make people criminals. So let's also look at our socioeconomic conditions. How is our economy doing? How many people who, when they finish school or when they grow up into teenagers and adults, get jobs to do readily? Even getting a job to do, you have to bribe or you have to have a party card, etc., etc. The police itself, on a daily basis, on the roads, are engaged in crime by collecting bribes, etc., etc. The top people, the politicians, this is due apologies to my honorable on my left.
You are one.
Are engaged in big time crime of stealing from the public purse.
Yeah.
We see it. It's in the papers every day. I mean, whether it's procurement infractions, now even when they are going to buy medicine for us to cure the
COVID-19.
The COVID-19, to fight the COVID-19, some people must still make some money out of it, from $10 to $19. Part of that $9, some must go into people's pockets. What's the difference between that crime at the top there and the crime by the armed robbers? Is it because the armed robbers are using guns and the others are using a pen to steal? They're about the same thing. So there should be a multi-pronged attack on this menace of security. Security comes in different forms. Security is not only using the gun. Now we are being told that the Interior Minister is telling us that we should go to Togo or we should go to Nigeria or we should go to Mali or Burkina Faso and see their crime. Their crime is of a terrorist nature. You want Boko Haram to come here before we know that the country is not safe? Or the insurgents from the Delta area to come to Ghana? Or the Islamic people in Mali and Niger to come for such things to happen in Ghana before we realize that Ghana is not safe?
Those in Burkina Faso have entered Ghana and they are planning an attack. And somewhere, you know, in the upper east and then the northern region.
But let's be frank, in the northern parts of our country, the armed robbery goes on daily without it making the newsstand against traders, etc., etc., who are engaged in peaceful activity of earning a daily life. Why? Because we have made the country so hard. Economically and socially, it's so very difficult. Why do you think that armed robbers, they want to get rich quickly, and politicians, and that's bad, and politicians, they should get rich quickly, or businessmen should get rich quickly by bringing in bad goods to sell, and that is also not a crime. As for heaven and all those kind of things, if he goes to heaven and he doesn't see a crime, then he can come back and come and tell us. But it's an insult. It's a cheek. He was being cheeky to us. You understand? And that's not right for a person in his position. And this comparison with other countries, for God's sake, we are not Nigeria. Neither are we Mali or Niger or La Côte d'Ivoire. We are Ghana. And we must have our own standards. Standards of security. Standards of economic development. Standards for everything that we do as Ghanaians. And not compare ourselves that elsewhere is bad. So when we are slightly better than bad, it is good for us. We should accept it. What kind of thinking is that? What kind of mentality is that? And these are people who are part of the political elite who rule us. We hear that they say there's political interference in the police. It's not only in the police, it's in the whole public system. So the infrastructure for the whole public system has atrophied. It's in shambles. Nothing works anywhere. And nothing works anywhere because people are not put there based upon merit. There's no meritocracy again in the public service and even in the private service in our country. Now, what is there is lip service because of patronage. So you just go and praise sing, you go and tell lies about your other colleagues, etc., go and undermine, etc., in order to get promotion to undeserved promotion. And because big men, patron, I've given you this job, it's by my grace, and so you do as I do. These 215 criminals, you can bet your bottom dollar that nothing will come out of it. You won't hear anything again. They think that, we are fools. They have fooled us. Look, this country needs to be saved. We are sliding into being a banana republic. And it's not good. And when the security is not good, I tell you, when you wouldn't know when the whirlwind will blow us. There will be real trouble. Okay. People pay taxes, and so people need security to go about their activities in peace.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Eneku, for your submission. Briefly.
Let me add that as part of my recommendations as to what we can do to ensure we have very good security system is we need the executive arm of government should stop the manipulation. The parliament should be able to come out with laws, that should make other agencies independent, so that these independent agencies or bodies can do proper investigations. If criminals are caught, they can be brought to book. The judiciary is becoming a problem. They don't like us talking about it. The Chief Justice, Eni Yabua, doesn't want anybody to critique the judiciary. But, you see, there are human beings working there. I think that when people criticize that institution, the Chief Justice should try to do thorough, or the Judiciary Council. I'm a member of the Judiciary Committee in Parliament, and I'm very worried about happenings in the judiciary. One, with regards to service condition of our magistrate, the judges, and all of that, where they operate. Some of the courts, if you go and see them, they are so bad, so dilapidated, that you can't even have any serious-minded judge sitting there to adjudicate. You understand? For me, the judiciary should try to support. Because the police, they are always blaming the courts. The police will tell you that when we arrest and go to court, the judiciary or the court will set them free. So when we arrest and can make something out of it, we will make something out of it instead of taking them to the judiciary. So all these things, the big men are aware. They know that this is what is happening, and yet we can't solve it. You understand? People go to arrest criminals. When they take them to the police station, their superiors will come in and say, leave them. Powers from the above. Please, we should stop that. Okay. Powers from the above. When the day these armed robbers will come after you, that's where you begin to regret that you ever ordered that certain criminals should be released from being punished. All right. So all these bodies, I mean the various arms of government, including justice, yourself, the media. The media. You see, we pursue cases halfway and leave it. In Ghana, many people have come to realize that when an issue cropped out and you discuss it for 3 days, 1 week, it's dead. The media is not able to push with an issue to the end of it. So you push it small and leave it. So the politicians have come to realize that even when they fault, but they know that you people cannot take us on for long. You talk about it, so we should be able to push.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable, for your submission. This one is from His Excellency Ambassador Sampiale. He says the IGP is far behind security issues in Ghana Since when did he know that bread vans are being used as bullion vans? The police only use bulletproofs and ballistic headgear to prevent demonstrators, whilst thieves have a field day on the Gimpa Road. There is no turntable reason why a retired IGP is still at post when there are younger, efficient police officers like Kofi Boachi, who is very dominant. Thank you so much for the message. This one says, good morning, Justice. Please, with regards to the IGP's comments on the robbing issue, it is rather unfortunate for such a person of his caliber to talk that way. He should have been talking about plans to curb these issues, but because of his position, or because his position was, attained via political reasons, he feels free to talk anyhow. Let us hold on to the responsible. Well, your message is not too good, but he said, let us hold on. Let us hold the responsible to always. Let us hold him responsible to always talk and behave responsibly. You've sent in this one from Sola in the Savannah region. This one says, hi to you too. I am Ernest from Bunkurugu. The comment made by the IGP was unfortunate. All right, thank you so much for your message. This one says, Justice, the IGP and the Minister of Interior are speaking as novices in the security system. The truth of the matter is that the President and his government has armed hoodlums who are in the system, invisible forces and Delta forces, making it different identity, the real police officer from the fake ones. The minister knows his party members who perpetrated these crimes, and the IGP, being a party member, does not take actions that would expose their party men. Ghana's security system has been destroyed by the president. Danny from Kajabi. Danny, I don't know about your allegations that the IGP is a member of the ruling party. Good morning, Justice, and to your panel. My regards to Honorable Cletus Dapila. We are proud of him so far for all that he is doing. I say kudos. Gideon from Jirapa sent in that one. Thank you so much, Gideon, for your message. Please, Justice, tell Mr. Eneku a friend wants to speak to him after the program through this number. Who is that friend of yours, actually? I'll find out from Mr. Eneku. If Honorable Cletus Dapila, watching you from Joabo, so good submission from Douglas. Douglas, thank you. So why do you need the police protection for MPs living in a safe country? Interior Minister should be serious. This kind of reassurance is discouraging. Thank you so much for your message. Good morning, Justice. Brilliant submission by your panelists. As a so-called bloody civilian, I'm more security conscious than most of the police officers in Upper West Region. They sit and do kokonsa, eating, pressing phones, chewing gum all over the place, especially their ladies and makeups. When I look at them, I shake my head. God help us. EB from where is KOD? I hope he's doing well. KOD is doing very well, very, very, very fine. He's attending to some other assignments. Once he is done, he will take over the morning show. He's the regular host of the morning show. Justice, please let our leaders know that the best form of benchmarking is to compare our present to the recent past or global best standards and not the worst standards. All right, thank you so much for your message. A lot of messages, actually. This is a good morning, Justice. In fact, your panel has made my day. Their submissions, almost all the issues, has been fantastic. God bless them. My regards to my brother, Honorable Cletus Dapila from Jonas in Yengli in Wa. Thank you so much. I hope I've pronounced the name well. I can't read your messages anymore. Kindly forgive me if I've been unable to read your message. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Eneku. Honorable, thank you so much for coming. And then my very good friend and brother, Audu Shak, thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful. If you want a copy of the Fight Back, call us on 0240 74 8782. 0240 74 8782. Call us and get yourself a copy of the Fight Back. It is, a response to the anti-Nkrumah provocations. Get yourself a copy, and all the distorted history are corrected in that particular book. This is all time will allow. Make a time with us, same time tomorrow. My name, once again, is Justice Appiah. Goodbye.
Every day he looks after his brother and chases a bus. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, and learns new things. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, and gets back home. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, gets back home, and helps his mom. Phew. That's why every day he needs his cup of Milo filled with the nutritious goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa. Milo, the energy to go further.
From Nestle.
This advert is FDA approved. Every day he looks after his brother and chases a bus. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, and learns new things. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, and gets back home. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, gets back home, and helps his mom. Phew. That's why every day he needs his cup of Milo filled with the nutritious goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa. Milo, the energy to go further.
From Nestle.
This advert is FDA approved.
Truly African.
Wow, beautiful performance there. You Yupesu troop. And as you can see, splendid display of culture. The Upper East culture. Please, can we be seated? Can we be seated? Let's take our seats. Let's take our seat.
One, two.
All right, beautiful performance there. Hello, 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 hello. Hello? 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 Yeah, so beautiful performance there by the Upesu Cultural Troupe. Please, shall we be seated? We can now be seated. Wow. Splendid display of the Upper East culture. I don't know what the name of the dance is, but it looks very nice. And that's the Upper East Student Union Cultural Troupe. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for them. Okay. The young man is displaying some energy there. What you are witnessing is the splendid dance of the Upper East. Yeah, all the way from Upper East. Wow. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for them. There by the Upper East Student Union Cultural Troupe. One thing I like, let me not sound biased, but my mother is from Upper East. Yeah, she's Kasina by tribe. And my grandmother, maternal grandmother, is also Frafra by tribe. So you see why I like to affiliate with Upper East. Yes, one thing about the dance is, if you don't have energy, you are not in. It's a game of energy, not flair. So once again, let's give it up for the Upper East Student Union Cultural Troupe. They've done so well. Yes, and I've been joined by our guest for today. We have a highly reputed panel now, and I'm sure we can see from their faces that today's program is going to go down in the history of UDS to be one of the most successful and nice programs we've had. Once more, a round of applause for our guest. All right, before we proceed, please, the program is about to officially kickstart. I would like to plead with you, audience, to seize all moments. As much as possible, try to minimize movements and interaction here and there so that we can have a very nice program today. Once again, I apologize for the late start. This was due to a few hitches beyond human control. And I like you, audience, because you have understanding and you have been patient. Those of you who are here as early as 7 sat through, and finally we have our guest here. Thank you very much. All right, so we would start with an opening prayer by Miss Fatima. Miss Fatima, please, let's welcome Miss Fatima with a round of applause to give us the opening prayer that today's program starts.
Thank you. Can we be in the mood of prayer? In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious, we thank God for bringing us here. We thank God for the gift of life. We pray that today's session is a successful one, and we leave here inspired and ready to inspire our world. In the name of God, we pray. Amen.
All right, amen. Thank you very much. Please give it up for Miss Fatima. All right, so quickly would like to invite the Honorable Women's Commissioner. She is in the...
David Annan were hauled to this same disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council by the same Chief Justice in similar fashion and harassed for expressing their views on the constitution of the Supreme Court panel that heard the 2020 election petition. Also, not long ago, the Honorable Roxanne Nelson K. Eche Dafiamapo, the NDC Member of Parliament for South Dine, received a similar invitation to appear before the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Council. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, Dr. Ayene spoke at a roundtable discussion which had other lawyers and academics brought together to analyze the impact of presidential election petitions on our democracy. When the question about confidence in the independence of the judiciary was posed, Lawyer Yao Opong, a member of President Akufo-Addo's legal team, responded that he thought Ghana's judiciary was independent. Dr. Ayene, on his part, expressed the view that his confidence in the independence of the judiciary has been dampened by the way the court determines some of the interlocutory applications of the petitioner without due regard to judicial precedents and settled rules and practices. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the way in which the Supreme Court, in the hearing of the 2020 election petition, continuously shielded the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Jean Adukoye-Mensah, from scrutiny and accountability, has been the subject of critical comment by many people. Indeed, much of the criticism has been from people who are in no way associated with the National Democratic Congress. We must say we are also struck by how positions that the current Chief Justice took in the 2012 election petition are completely opposite to his positions in the 2020 election petition. And we may ask, what has changed? Let me read to you a few sentences from Justice of the Supreme Court, as he then was, Ani Yeboah, when he dissented in respect of a ruling concerning whether the Electoral Commission should be ordered to produce certain documents. He said, and I quote, "In a serious matter in which the mandate of the entire voters of this country is being questioned through the judicial process, one expected the second respondent, as the sole body responsible for the conduct of elections, to have exhibited utmost degree of candor to assist the court in arriving at the truth. Surprisingly, the second respondent, Electoral Commission, opted for filing no pink sheets, leaving this court unassisted and thereby placing reliance only on the pink sheets supplied to the agents of the petitioners at the various polling stations in issue. While the second respondent elected to deny assistance to a court of law in search of the truth in a monumental case of this nature is beyond my comprehension." He continued, "I think this must be deprecated in view of the constitutional autonomy granted to it to perform such vital functions under the Constitution for the advancement of our democratic governance," unquote. And that was Justice Ani Yeboah in 2013. Yet, in the recent election petition, the same Chief Justice, Ani Yeboah, dismissed every single application on behalf of the petitioner to have the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, the same Electoral Commission, assist the court to establish the same truth. In 2013, Dr. Farijan went into the witness box and was subjected to extensive cross-examination. That was not enough for Justice Ani Yeboah then. This time, Mrs. Jean Mensah, having sworn to a witness statement and sworn to affidavits to the effect that she would be available for cross-examination, chose not to testify. Even an attempt to reopen the case of the petitioner to enable her be subpoenaed was rejected by the same Chief Justice and his colleagues. Why was the conduct of Mrs. J. Mensah not deprecated this time around? How does the Chief Justice, Justice Eninyeboa, expect Ghanaians to have confidence in his impartiality and fair-mindedness as a judge in the face of these contradictory decisions by him? Also, the way and manner the Supreme Court unanimously dismissed virtually all the interlocutory applications of the petitioner without regard for the law, in some instances, further dampened our hopes in that important arm of government. You may recall, for instance, that in their ruling on the application by the petitioner to reopen his case to call the EC chairperson as an adverse witness, the Supreme Court disregarded the clear provisions of the Evidence Act of Ghana, which is the law in Ghana, and opted for a wrong interpretation of the Black Law Dictionary of UK. Black Law Dictionary definition of adverse witness. We all know that where the law does not explicitly provide for any subject, you may borrow from other jurisdictions, but clearly not where your law states clearly what should operate in Ghana. You abandon that one and you go looking for advice from dictionaries elsewhere. In that ruling, the court said that a person cannot be an adverse witness until he has already mounted the witness box, despite the clear provisions of the Evidence Act of Ghana, which provides that in a civil action, a party or a person whose relationship to a party makes the interests of that person substantially the same as a party may be called by an adverse party and examined as if on cross-examination at any time during the presentation of evidence by the party calling the witness. When the petitioner applied for a review of this decision, and the court was presented with a golden opportunity to correct this clear error of law, the court refused to do so without any plausible reason. How then can anybody fault Dr. Ayeni for saying that his hopes about the independence of the judiciary was dampened by the way and manner the court failed to apply the law and judicial precedents in dealing with some interlocutory applications of the petitioner? Friends from the media, our position on this matter is simple. Dr. Ayeni's views about the independence of the judiciary are views he is entitled to, in line with his freedom of expression guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution. He was courteous to the court and kept his language temperate and decent. He stayed within the bounds of professionalism. He was neither scurrilous nor scandalous. For him to be accused by the Chief Justice of disparaging Ghana's judiciary over these tempered and justified comments is not only bizarre and unfortunate, but speaks volumes about the Chief Justice himself. Clearly, the opinion expressed by Dr. Ayeni, which we in the NDC share without any equivocation, is not actionable and does not violate any rule of professional conduct for lawyers. As a matter of fact, neither Dr. Ayeni nor we in NDC can be compelled, and I repeat, can be compelled to increase our confidence in the independence of the judiciary, even when the court has not given us any basis or reason so to do. The Chief Justice ought to be reminded that according to Article 125 of our Constitution, justice emanates from the people and is administered on behalf of the Republic by the judiciary, who shall be independent. Public confidence in the independence of the judiciary must therefore be earned and not be forced on us. Nobody can force anybody to have confidence in a system that does not justify that confidence. It is naturally not possible. So if you want me to have confidence in you, you must demonstrate by your actions that you deserve that confidence. I cannot be compelled by any dictator to have confidence in anything that I don't have confidence in. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we are concerned at the seeming judicial dictatorship that is fast festering under the leadership of the current Chief Justice. An unwelcome development which threatens free speech and could potentially undermine our justice system. You will recall that not so long ago, and immediately before the judgment on the elections petition was pronounced, the Chief Justice instructed his private lawyer, Mr. Teddy Usori, to issue a threatening letter to media houses in the country, ostensibly to restrict public criticism of the court on grounds that the Ghanaian people are uneducated and uninformed about legal issues. When there was public uproar, it was then claimed that the letter was not aimed at preventing criticism of decisions of the Supreme Court in the media. So you see how it proceeded. We were going to announce a verdict. For some reason, you yourself took the position that that verdict will be criticized. And so you issue a warning that no media house should criticize you because we are all not learned in the law. How many times have you seen any court or heard any court telling anybody that I am going to give a judgment, but I'm warning you not to talk about the judgment? So what does it tell you about your own belief in the judgment you are going to deliver? Why are you not expecting that after delivering the judgment, all the media houses will be praising you for doing a good job? Why didn't you think like that? And you simply assume that they will be criticizing me. So it means that that is an admission that what you are about to do was wrong. And it didn't end there. Now you have done it. And we are talking about it and you say we cannot talk about it. We will continue talking about it. Our children will come and talk about it. And our grandchildren will come and talk about it. And this judgment will be studied in all the law schools in this country. Because the Supreme Court is a court of record. The judiciary, ladies and gentlemen, like Parliament or the executive, is not above criticism. Indeed, it is worth recalling that the recent Ray Akuto event in Kumasi, where an address was delivered on behalf of the Chief Justice, was an event to criticize a 16-year-old decision of the Supreme Court. The event was dominated by politicians of the New Patriotic Party stock, who use the occasion to express their critical views freely. So you see now, the Chief Justice, the President, everybody is free to criticize one Supreme Court decision. But even members of Parliament are not free to criticize another Supreme Court decision. What type of country then are we living in? We wish to reiterate the fact that the invitation of Dr. Ayene to appear before the General Legal Council is yet another attempt by the Chief Justice to intimidate and suppress views that are at variance with his own views. Even if the Chief Justice disagrees with Dr. Ayene's views or deems same as erroneous, the statement made were decorous expressions of opinion about a judgment delivered by the Supreme Court of Ghana and do not warrant professional discipline. Our progressive march as a constitutional democracy will suffer a grave setback if the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council were to proceed to hold an inquiry into the matter of Dr. Ayene's statements at the CDD event. Our constitution and laws protect the integrity and independence of the judiciary and not the sensibilities of judges. I want to take that again. Our constitution and laws protect the integrity and independence of the judiciary and not the sensibilities of judges. Judicial vanity is a threat to justice and must not be countenanced in any democracy. We therefore join all well-meaning Ghanaians to demand that the Chief Justice withdraws his petition against Dr. Ayene forthwith. We further serve notice that as a political party, we are keenly following events and shall resist any judicial tyranny with all our might. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, we wish to state that even as the action taken against Dr. Ayene is unjustified, it is but a symptom of a larger problem. It is no coincidence that virtually all the lawyers who have been reported to the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council by the Chief Justice, Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah, in recent times are aligned to the NDC. What is the Chief Justice's personal interest in the punishment of NDC-affiliated lawyers that he is so keen to initiate unwarranted actions against them? We dare say that such treatment will not be meted out to lawyers who are aligned to the MPP for reasons best known to the Chief Justice himself. After the 2013 election petition verdict was delivered by the Supreme Court, lawyer Sam Okujeto, at a symposium organized by the Dankwa Institute, took some of the justices of the Supreme Court to the cleaners and gave his own interpretation of the judgment, contrary to what the court had determined. Also recently, when the High Court, Human Rights Division presided by Justice Gifty Ajay Ado, ruled against the General Legal Council in an application brought by lawyer Francis Sosu, lawyer Sam Okujeto once again went to town, attacking and questioning the capacity of the judge who quashed the decisions of the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council, of which he is a member. Lawyer Sam Okujeto is also a leading member of the New Patriotic Party and the Council of State. Why was he not referred to the General Legal Council for disciplinary action by the current Chief Justice, Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah? What about the several MPP-affiliated lawyers, including a lawyer on record who made many prejudicial comments and sought to seduce the Supreme Court during the hearing of the 2020 election petition. The respect accorded the judiciary is one that ought to be earned due to the ability of members of that important arm of government to show equanimity, balance, and fairness to all manner of persons, irrespective of their political or ethnic coloration. That respect cannot be rammed down the throats of anyone through acts of suppression and brazen acts of intimidation. The notion that the judicial arm of government is beyond reproach is but a fantasy which cannot be sustained. The same is utterly inimical to democratic practice and must not be countenanced. If these actions by the Chief Justice are intended to browbeat the NDC and its members and prevent us from stating our views on the performance of the judiciary, we hereby state categorically that they will not succeed. We will not be intimidated. We as a party will continue to defend the cause of freedom and of right in this country. We do not strive to put in place the building blocks of a sustainable democracy only to allow judicial tyranny to rear its ugly head. And we will never be intimidated by partisan occupants of state institutions, no matter the cause. And to conclude, I'd like to refer to the words in the original slogan of NDC. And it says that NDC, no retreat, no surrender, no curve, no bend, straight on to victory. May God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Thank you very much, sir, for that courageous, insightful presentation. If you have any question at this juncture, you can raise up your hand. You come to the front, we'll give you a microphone, you tell us your name and your media house, and then you ask your question. Please, any questions? If you have a question, let me see your hand. Okay. You have a question? Okay, then come this way. Any other question? Okay, you can also come this way. Any other hand? Okay, so let's take the two for now. Wilson.
General, good morning. Good morning to my colleagues here. Quick one, General. One will just ask, as the General Secretary of the NDC, what locus do you have, the expertise you have to determine whether indeed the comment made by Dr. Ayene is not disparaging and not a slight on the integrity of the judges at the Apex Court? And then two, that those who are saying that we should all proceed with caution because an attack on the judiciary could mean destabilizing the country's democracy, because a mistrust of the judiciary would amount to some level of chaos. How then do you respond to that? And finally, in your last expression, you said, I can't quote verbatim, but to suggest that individuals are occupying states' positions in a partisan manner. Just for clarity, are you therefore suggesting that the CJ is there to do the bidding of the NPP? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next question.
My name is Rose. I work with TVXY. Just to ask that I've heard people say that the NDC as a party is not serious to do anything, and all you do is talk. Because prior to this election petition, there were a lot of comments and things that the NDC could have done that didn't happen. Now there's a verdict and your members have been intimidated, and it's just talking, so we should not expect anything different from the NDC. How do you react to those comments?
All right, thank you. Any other? Okay, so we have 5 questions from 2 people. General will answer the questions, and for the purposes of the account stations here, he will do a brief summary of his presentation in 3. We'll plead with you that you keep your cameras in their positions. Let's restrict the movement. It will be very brief, and then we can wrap it up. Thank you.
Yeah. The first question has to do with the locus I have as a General Secretary. The General Secretaryship is not my only locus. My first locus is a Ghanaian citizen called Asiedu Nketia from Sekwa, who pay taxes. That is my first locus. And my second locus in determining whether the invitation is right or not is my common sense. Yeah. So everybody has a way of interpreting whatever they are faced with. According to my common sense, it doesn't make sense to invite Dr. Ayene to that listen. And the second one is about attack on the judiciary being dangerous to our democracy. Well, if the judiciary is not independent, what are we supposed to do if the judiciary is conducting itself to create the impression that they are not independent? So, are you saying that faced with the choice of pointing out what is wrong for it to be corrected and keeping quiet, which option will help our democracy? We have chosen the side of pointing out what is wrong so that we have opportunity to correct it. We cannot keep quiet over something that we consider to be wrong about any state institution. And indeed, we are happy that the president agrees with us about what we are doing. Because on January 7th, he called us to be participants and not spectators. What does he mean by that? Participate in governance. Your role as a citizen doesn't end with the voting, casting of vote. You must actively participate, criticize, monitor, give praise when praise is due. The work of democratic institutions in the country, because democracy is about rule of law, not rule of men. And the institutions, once they are provided for by the Constitution, cannot be perfect from the beginning. It takes public criticism of their work to straighten their ways, to improve their performance. That is why we have, it is not just the locals we have a duty to criticize what we consider to be wrong if we want to behave like good citizens of this country. We are duty bound. So those who are quiet in the face of wrongdoing have decided to be on the side of the wrongdoer. So if you see something going wrong, you must point it out so that there will be a chance of it being corrected. That is why we are speaking the way we are speaking. So you must, the danger that is posed to a country by a judiciary that is perceived not to be independent is greater than the criticism that any citizen will raise against the performance of such judiciary. And there is documented research in this country that suggests that over 80% of Ghanaians don't consider the judiciary to be independent. Yeah. If Article 125 of our Constitution says that justice emanates from the people, and 85% of the people from whom justice emanates and for whom the judiciary is to deliver that justice, they believe that that judiciary is not delivering the justice. Do you think that you will be playing your role as a good citizen to keep quiet over that? Never. There must be something which is worth investigating. Maybe the research findings could be wrong. But we cannot sit idly by, not talking about it. Maybe what you are doing, as you have claimed earlier on, that the rest of us don't understand law, so you alone understand your law. So when you do something, we cannot talk. Then let us appoint illiterates like us, who represent us, to deliver justice, because the justice is being delivered on our behalf. So we cannot have justice that we don't understand. That is why we are talking. And judicial decisions must make sense to the ordinary people. And if in our uninformed minds, your enlightened decisions don't make sense, we have to talk for you to know how many fools you have out there who don't understand the judicial decisions. So that you can make an effort to educate us to understand your decisions. Were you not in this country when Kennedy Japan actually insulted members of the judiciary in unprintable language? What happened? The matter didn't even go to any judicial whatever. It went to the court, presided over by the same judges who were insulted. And they were running away. So if you create the impression that you enjoy the insults at that time, if people don't have confidence in you, now who calls them? Now another person says, talk. We are not supposed to fight in a democracy. Democracy is about talking. That is why we will continue talking. The day we will stop talking in a democracy, that democracy is headed for trouble. So that is the difference between autocracy and democracy. It is the belief in democracy that expression of your views, ideas openly will blow away the heat and keep the society stable. What I'm saying today, if I haven't said it on behalf of the party, many party members will be keeping those things in their heads, and you may not know how they will react. So if you are in a democracy and you are silencing dissent, it's like blowing air into a balloon. If somebody is standing beside you and say this balloon will burst, and you won't stop blowing the air, and you won't allow any space for the air to escape, then you can only head for a situation where the balloon will burst on your face. There is no way of making rose not smell sweet by calling it by any other name. Rose smells sweet and it will continue smelling sweet. So if you call it by whatever name, it will still smell sweet. So the truth must be told. The general statement we made about state positions that could be occupied by partisans. It's a general statement about all state institutions in this country. So go and measure your head. If you think this cap fits you, put it on. Thank you. Yo. Na me tell me my try him fear the assembly. I was for try a friend one no pay. And it's Nansan NDC 413 sembiana enye yede. Asem no ane say Supreme Court ekudi asem ana NDC 4 ede akodan oman no court batan say yesusu say kwanya electoral commission fa so ye na adwuma in 2020 election no wa anya yiye enti omra no mebu hu nkonta na case ni edi wiye no kwanya ajaji for fa so di case no wo mu di wiye kura ye nyama homra no na wo mu adi kan di kokobo abeto ho se asemo a ye di ni mu aye bai obi aye ye no anka ho asem bi anti ayen enu kura na eye obi awowa se na dia na onim se wo beka enti wo expect se amanfo bebo abaso na mom wo expectation ni se asema wo beka no de enya amanfo de na mo ye na meka wi a obi animatem oyini be ne kasasa oroti ahimfi wo di asema obebua o se nwaya me be bai de mo ye na meka wi a obi a akodi matem se ohene nka nokre enti mu amoni mu ye kasa ho a ena enu etikodai ampani ampa mu aye na ba na ye won hihye bi wo man mu a se asem da court animu a esibo bia nkyere na dwen wo ho enti saa now the saa nkyere no ekodane atemuafo na adwene akoba bi enti se egusu di asem no a mo obi anka ho asem na mo mra bia ni oman mu a che se ye di asem no wi a mo obi anka ho asem say oba nkwa nye de na wuntimi nka enchine antu mu so wuntimi nka wuntimi nka se nkwa nye de ba se enchine ni mu antu wuntimi nka se mo fa nchine kakra mra enu ntino ye di asem na wie court so asem a ye di no wo man yi ba bia no eye ensen na ha wo mu sua mra ewo ye schools no mu nyina wo mu sua eno na wo di sua mra na kira bi ye di assembly bi a o se ebre bi etwa mu asedu nkati aka se ebre bi etwa mu samija mfiso asem bi to ebeto nanim okan no se ebre bi etwa mu lawyer kakra sambo aka no se enu ntinde abana sa asem no ene no sa se le se edeto if say tete asue ene asue ho eno na edi sua ye mra wo man enti bi da se court akoma na sem hu mu aye no san hye ni papa mpe se mo obi anka sa asem no ho asem bia ena Dr. Yene ya freno CDD ye program se ye medoso court judgment ni mu ni enye niema yebetimi asua afrimu edi akire enchirima de se ba bi ye mfomso ba bi ayenka papa o ba bi ayenka ya fresa nhyiamu ya eye edisua ene edisua lawyer for ebi bai ebe gina ma wo mo ayeka se Supreme Court aya de ene odo so eka se Supreme Court nya de na kwanya omfa so di asem no ama onu ni gidi e wo Supreme Court mu no ahwan when kasem bi ani afeye friwa chief justice ono akosuma ni secretary se on letter na yenkobo just Dr. Yini Kwadu say waye bibia wanye ni nti omra ne metwe na so enunti enense ntwofo nchia mu ne bota ni se ye de to Ghana fo nyina nim ama bia kan chief justice no se Dr. Yemi no NDC for ye nyinu mada ye tanachi babi ade no ko bia ye tanachi if you say judicial no nsɛm ɔkae no enti a obia na dwen ɛna wakyerɛ ɔman constitution so ɛma ho kwan yɛwɔ freedom of speech yɛwɔ academic freedoms ɛwɔ ɔman no ɛno nti ɛbrɛ biara court bɛdi asɛm awie no obiara wɔ ho kwan sɛ ɔkyerɛ n'adwen kwan yɛ ɔfa so kyerɛ n'adwen so wɔnidi obiara tɛm nti ɔnyɛ ɛbɔne biara nti ɔnkɔ so nka adeɛ kyi na ɔmo san frɛ no baabi a ɔnsan to aso nka ɛfiri sɛ saa atemmua no ɛbɛda hɔ ama yɛ mma bɛka ho asɛm ama yɛ mma nana nso abɛka ho asɛm ama yɛ nana nka so ano abɛka ho asɛm eti sɛ onim sɛ wokɔyɛ adeɛ bi a ɛntene a no agye ho yi ɛfiri sɛ wonya yɛ ya ɛda hɔ afebɔɔ ɛwɔ din mu yɛhunu sɛ Supreme Court kuro ya wabu atɛn bi pɛn bɛsɛ mfie bɛyɛ aduonum ne akyire nie ɛyɛ yɛtafrɛ no re akoto nansa ya president no no MPP mpanimfoɔ ɛkɔhyia sɛ yɛhwɛ nneɛma a ankɔ yie ɛwɔ re akoto case no yi sɛ obi ko read statement hɔ koraa wɔ Chief Justice wɔ ewudin mu no na yɛ criticism of Supreme Court judgment ya aba so bɛ 50 years ago na deɛ bɛn ɛna ususu sɛ ɛma wotumi yɛ agye no deɛ ma wotumi sɛ wotumi kɔ criticize Supreme Court judgment na yɛ ntimamufo a yɛtu atoɔ ma yɛde tu awka no a yɛn na atemmuo no constitution sɛ ɛfiri yɛn mu na wogyina hɔ na wogu atɛn no de ama yɛn na wokɔyɛ adwuma brɛ yɛ a yɛni ho kwan sɛ baabi akye a yɛbɛtumi aka bi nti nsɛnkyerɛfoɔ nhyia mu botae ne sɛ yɛn nyinaa nso yɛbɛka na NDC ni biara na Ghana ni biara osusu sɛ atemmuo biara ɛkɔ so wɔ man no mu ɛnyɛ papa no sɛ wanka a wadi ɔman no nhwammɔ ɛfiri sɛ yɛne Nana Akufo-Addo yɛ adwen sɛ ɔse ɛma Ghanafoɔ mmɛyɛ bɛhwɛ adefoɔ ɛwɔ namamu a ɔrebu no na yɛn nyinaa yɛmfa yɛ ano ɛnkɔ mu bi adebɔne bi kɔ so a yɛnka na ɛno na ɛbɛma yɛtumi akorakora deɛ ɛyɛ bɔne no ɛno nti yɛfrɛ mo ha na a yɛkyerɛ sɛ Dr. Ayine asɛm a ɔkae no yɛyɛ kari ahwɛ wɔn ka bɔne biara nti yɛtaa n'akyi yɛde fa mo so ama man ato gyasesane yɛboa sɛ akura ase ma ka me nwe obiara ni Ghana ontumi nyɛ mfomsoɔ yɛyɛ nsusu sɛ wayɛ mfomsoɔ nti ɔntwe nsan na ebiemu nso yɛhyɛ Ghanafoɔ nkura ne sɛ yɛka democracy a ɛyɛ ka bi mame so nka bi nti sɛ obiara na gye sɛ ɔno ɔbɛyɛ kanka bi a ɛma so wɔ ɔman no obiara nka yɛ NDC-foɔ deɛ yɛbɛka ɛno nti no obiara mmoa ɔman no ne kyekyerɛ na berɛ a yɛbrɛ gye democracy no si hɔ no amɛyɛ kwa na sɛ fertilizer a yɛde gu bɔne so ma no nyini paa ɛne sɛ bɔne no kɔ so na nyansafoɔ ɔman no na ɔmo ayɛ din woyɛ no saa kyerɛ sɛ wode fertilizer ɛgu bɔne no so ama no nyini ntɛm ɛno nti yɛyɛ mpɛ sɛ yɛde fertilizer bɛgu bɔne die so ɛno nti na ɛba a yɛka bi no nti ɛnyɛ judiciary nko a yɛde nkra ɛkɔ ama obi biara a ɔda ɔman adwuma biara no sɛ ɔnyɛ adwuma ɛwɔ ɔman no din mu no ɔnhwɛ no amfa ankɔyɛ party asɛm ɔde kɔyɛ party asɛm a na ɔno na de ne ho akɔto party controversy mu inti party for Subeka inti oye bibia onhwe hunu se oman Ghana ena yesomo no eda mu nyina se Nyankopon mo amaka na konani.
All right, thank you very much, General. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media. We are grateful to you for coming. We've already released a soft copy of the statement General read. We will give hard copies to those of you who need hard copies. And we'll plead with you to give us a few minutes. Officers from the Communication Bureau will see you before you leave. Thank you for coming. All right. Yeah. Okay. Another important announcement. The Secretariat of the NDC has launched a newsletter, and the maiden edition is available. I don't know whether copies are available yet, but copies are available at administration. If you need a copy, you can get one. Will be okay. So the first copies are free. This will help you know what is going on at the NDC headquarters here and throughout our party structures across the country. So you can pass by the party administration and pick a copy for yourself. Thank you very much once again for coming.
Truly African.